It is the Homemade Broadcast, episode 541. Welcome. My name's Will Kuncz. This is Anna Hummel right here next to me.
Hi.
As you can tell, Anna has been devastated by Hurricane Helene. she is not looking her best today. She came in saying she feels awful.
I don't feel good.
Yeah. Well, what's the reason?
My eating habits.
I know all about that. I can
My
relate.
eating habit. Nothing about me is normal or healthy. Even if I'm healthy, I'm so healthy that it somehow becomes unhealthy. Like I make it to the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah, horseshoe.
Yeah. So I've been doing this OMAD stuff, which is 1 meal a day.
Okay.
For those that know or care.
Yep.
Which is a horrible idea. It's good in theory, especially when it comes to time efficiency, right? You just have like one meal for an hour and then you just don't eat the rest of the
time. For
time.
an hour? You eat for a solid hour?
Oh, yeah, easy. Easy. I can eat a lot of volume.
Yeah.
A lot of volume. And also what I'm eating, it takes time. Like when you eat a bowl of greens, it's like...
Are you eating like chard and what do you call that other one?
Kale. No, I don't eat any of that stuff. It's terrible and I hate it, so I don't eat it. But romaine or spinach or something like that, and then I just put some veggies on it, whatever. Anyways, what happens when you do that is you get really, really hungry. You get really hungry and you can't stop yourself. And you just keep eating and eating and eating until the point where you feel very uncomfortable, and then you keep eating some more.
What's obviously we know that greens are good for you and you should eat those, but they also do nothing to do anything for your hunger whatsoever.
Yeah, they have a lot of fiber if you eat enough of them. If you eat a bunch of broccoli,
we just talked about it just now.
No. I get full. I'm just not satisfied. There's a difference.
Okay, well,
so I guess maybe full, but I'm like, it's not what I wanted. So I just make myself. So then I think, well, if I get fuller, I won't want the bad food or like the dessert food.
Yeah.
But what happens is you just fill up on the stuff that's quote unquote healthy, and then you just end up eating the bad stuff later, anyways.
Have you tried maybe eating the trough of greens and then having a little piece of chocolate afterwards to see if that will get your brain over the hump?
No, I haven't done that. I try to make sure I eat all my greens, and then I make sure I eat a lot of protein, usually in the form of yogurt.
Yeah.
And then I allow myself to eat,
What are your turds like?
They've been bad lately.
Oh no.
They've been bad. So I feel like I've been a little blocked up today. I'm sorry, guys. And then I went for a run. Have you ever been bloated and tried to go for a run and you're sweating, but you're cold? It's just not good.
Yeah.
And then what did I do? And then I went home and ate some more, like an a-hole. So
that sounds
just making a lot of bad decisions today.
Yeah.
But had some good meetings that I'm excited to tell you about.
Good.
Don't get too excited, though.
I won't. I will not.
Make sure the expectations are measured.
That's right. No, yeah.
So if we've learned anything this year, make sure your expectations are measured.
Mine are 0 now. Absolutely. Good. I'm feeling a lot better over the past few weeks.
Because you feel nothing at all.
Yep, just totally numb. Yeah. Well, welcome to the program. I'm sorry to hear you're not feeling well, Anna. I'm glad you came out, though.
Self-induced. It's okay. My fault.
Yeah, it does happen. And obviously the big story this week is the hurricane. My God. Hurricane Helene. We did a show on Wednesday. I believe we closed the program out saying, by the time Radio St. Pete hears this, and the podcast hears this, I'm sure it's cleared and everybody's fine and hopefully everything's good. And boy, I could not have been more wrong. What a storm Hurricane Helene was. 110 miles, I believe, from Tampa Bay, and just destroyed everything. Everything all along the coast is a complete mess.
Have you surveyed the damage like I have?
I have not been on the beach yet. We wanted to go. We tried to go on Friday, and they would not let us on the barrier.
It wasn't.
I seen the pictures.
Yeah, I have some pictures. My boyfriend is big into disaster porn, so we were out there yesterday, just kind of checking things out, and there's a dank smell.
Yeah.
And also where I live in this county, probably about a mile away, people just got decimated by the storm surge, which moved quickly. Apparently, it
did.
was only, I mean, it was like 7-8 feet, and then by morning it was gone. But in that time, it just destroys everything because it's not just water; it's the salt water, so everything corrodes.
Yeah.
And you have to just throw everything out.
I actually so I'm kind of breaking my own rule because I was like, I did some volunteer work on Saturday, which I'm telling you about now.
You have a rule against volunteering?
I don't,
I do.
but no rule against volunteering. But I don't like when people put it on like social media
And
to
you
let
did that?
people know. And I did not do
Good
that.
boy.
But also at the same time, I'm kind of telling you and ergo, our 400 listeners that I did volunteer work.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, it's kind of the same thing in a way.
Can I ask some questions?
Sure.
Did you do anything or you just like showed up?
No, I did stuff.
Did you
Oh,
watch
man.
other people volunteer?
I did a lot. It was so hot, so muggy. It was this house that, now I will say this to I'm not a good person because the volunteering was not my idea. I will say that.
I called that out as soon as you told me what you were doing a few days ago. I'm like, there's no way that was your call.
It was not my idea. And now if it was
it didn't even occur to you.
If it
was
was
a way to spend your afternoon.
if it was somebody I checked with my family and friends. Luckily, I don't really have any family or friends, so my call list was short and everybody was good. So it was great. At least in my immediate circle, so I don't have to do anything. But I'm kidding. But
no, you're
no.
not.
So my girl goes. There's a older couple who volunteers or used to volunteer with the Seabird thing, the Tampa Bay Friends of Estuaries.
Try not to swear.
I'm trying not to. But I'm trying to figure out what it's called. Well, it's on my hat. Can you read my hat?
Sure. Friends of the Tampa Bay Natural Wildlife Refuges.
Refuges. I can never say that word.
I always want to say refugees.
So it was, and these, board members, my girl is like the youngest one by 30 years, I would say, on this board. So they're old. I mean, they're older folks who can serve on a board like that. You know what I mean? Like they have the time to do that stuff.
Yeah.
So apparently one of their homes was just destroyed.
Sorry.
Yeah.
One of their homes?
Well, actually, their home, their main home, I don't know if they had many or more than one.
Were you hoping that they would give you a tip?
I wasn't. I was just going. I was like, I saw the pictures, and believe it or not, Anna, I was like, we need to bond together as a community and help each other out. And my girl was like, you don't have to go. You don't want to. She gave me the out.
No, she didn't.
Yeah.
It was a test.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you passed.
Everything's a test.
It is.
But no, I did. I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So I went down there. It was in the neighborhood that was, where Weeden Island is?
Yeah, it's where I used to live, kind of.
Kind of. Yeah. Right around there. I mean, that area is so low and it floods. Even if it rains hard enough, it floods. Every neighbor. I mean, I drove down the street when we were getting there, and every house
said piles
gone. I mean, not gone. Like the building was still there, but just everything inside's trashed. Everybody's taking stuff out to the curb, and
I thought you went to Snell Isle.
No, I don't think it's Snell Isle. Like Venetian Isle, maybe.
Oh, okay,
I can't remember. It's right near Weeden Island on 4th Street.
Yeah, I know where that
and is. Right where Gandy kind of pulls off is right in that area. And yeah, it was tragic to see, and these poor people. Actually, I will say this: it was kind of cool. The lady's house it is, I believe her name was Michelle, if I'm not mistaken. I pulled up, I introduced myself to her, and she goes, "I know you." And I said, "You do?" She goes, "Yeah." I go, "How?" "I know you from the radio."
Hey,
and I was like,
celebrity.
"And look at me now, I'm cleaning up your house. You should call." No, I didn't.
Please call my boss.
Call
Put in a good word.
CNG and let them know that I've been volunteering. No, I didn't do that either. But
she knew you by voice or by face.
I don't know. she says, she just says, I know you from the radio. And I said, oh yeah, I miss it, but I'm still doing my thing
Dude,
on Saturday.
how happy were you to do that house afterwards? You're like, well, here
Well,
I
it
am.
was much
Celebrity sighting for you.
much happier. I will say that.
Well,
Somebody
pep in
who's
your
like, this
step.
was cool. Like, hopefully she'd be like, oh, I remember when Will from the radio came
Yeah.
and cleaned up my house. But yeah, so we were carrying, everything inside the house had to leave the home. I had to go. It was a total loss. I mean, outside of like, certain things were staying, but not much. I mean, 90% of it had to go. So just bringing it out to the curb, pulling up carpet, pulling up, the strips that hold the carpet down. That was mostly my job. We were there about 4 or 5 hours.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that day. Terrible. And then there's so many places that I'm surprised that, you live pretty far up, I thought, from the coast, and a mile away, people were getting it on your end.
Oh, yeah.
In your neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot believe that this storm did as much damage as it did, because we've had storms pass by that were close. I guess it was just the intensity of the storm.
It was the way, also
level.
just the placement, and it was the storm surge. So there's like many elements to a hurricane, right? It's like you have the wind, you have the rain, you have the storm surge, and it was really the last one that got everybody. Can I tell you this? This is probably not nice.
Okay.
So the night of the storm, it was September 26th. It was a Thursday evening.
Okay, Rain Man. Thank you.
No problem. We're out and about in the boyfriend's Jeep looking for action, right? We see pop, 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 green flashes.
Oh, you're
trees
driving
going
around
down.
during the storm.
Oh, we're going around. This is probably 8 o'clock at night, something like that. Waiting for it to get bad. We're looking around, some wind, a few leaves here and there. Like, man, there's not a lot of action, And we go to the marina in Dunedin, and it was right when the water started coming up. And I'm like, oh, water's coming up. And he's like, yeah, we're sitting there for like 5 minutes. It's just kind of like lame. So we're like, well, let's go home. It's going to be a non-event. An hour after we left, like 8 feet, 9 feet, a storm surge came in and just destroyed everyone's house. So when I woke up, I'm like, oh, non-event. And it was just like people were returning to their homes and they had to throw everything. Like you said, it was just an absolute mess, but it didn't feel like a bad storm because it really wasn't, as far as like the wind and rain was concerned. And we didn't reach like 150-mile winds or anything like that. It was just the storm surge.
Yeah, and that's what they did warn about this one. I was watching Dennis Phillips, and he was talking about the real danger from this one is going to be the surge. This one didn't have a lot of rain with it. The winds, it was going to be pretty far off. Obviously, we're going to get some gusts maybe that were going to be pretty intense, but the wind, not really too much to worry about. But the surge was the thing, and they said I believe the prediction was 3 to 5 feet, if I'm not mistaken. And I think some places got 8 or 9 feet.
I was talking to Joe Bordeaux.
Oh, no.
Yes. Thankfully, his house is on stilts, but it came up 8 feet, 9 feet, and he was on 11 feet. So he was okay.
Oh, wow.
Nanette Weiser, also a part of Radio St. Pete. We're talking a foot away. Again, she was on up 10 feet. It came up 9 in Indian Rocks Beach. So just Jay Kolb.
Yeah.
Like, house just decimated, I think.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So a lot of people that we know that we're close to are suffering from the storm. So
yeah. I mean, so many people. I was driving down First Street because I got to pick up mail. I have a mailbox there, so I went to go pick up mail, and just everywhere down there too. They're pretty close, but also I thought First Street was far enough away that nope. Everybody out there pulling the furniture. I mean, I would imagine that when all is said and done, the economic impact of this storm is going to be definitely like probably number one. I would imagine as far as damage, just because of all the damage it did here. Obviously, the whole coast. Typically these storms hit like the Panhandle quite a bit, and there's not too much there in the Panhandle. The population is definitely here in this area, Miami. But so there's not as much population up there. And obviously the areas get ravaged, but
they're small.
They're smaller towns.
And you're saying they don't matter.
That's not what I'm saying.
That's what I can read between the lines.
I'm just saying that here with the storm surge, can you imagine if that cataclysmic storm comes through? And it will one day, right up the bay. that's just going to be, I mean, forget it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Bayshore has an elevation of 2.5. So, yeah, it's just going to be an absolute nightmare if and when it happens.
Yeah, it sure is. And then not only that, after it made landfall, it headed up to Georgia, North Carolina,
Tennessee, eastern part of Tennessee.
and North Carolina, South Carolina I mean, they got it worse. I think with the mudslides.
There's I mean, I've seen some stuff on Twitter, so it's hard to say what's real and what's not. So just know that. But people are like, there's bodies everywhere. Again, and I'm laughing because it sounds so incendiary, but it might be the case. I saw Tim Kennedy was out there. He's like, we're searching for bodies. Someone's like spray painted like SOS like on a street with an arrow. Just crazy stuff is going on. And then, of course, you talk about all the people that lost their homes or all their stuff in, let's say, this area, but quite a few people passed away, unfortunately, lost their lives.
I think we're over a dozen here in Pinellas County.
Yeah, it's really, really sad.
And something like 150 now or something. Second deadliest storm in history.
Yeah. I saw one of the victims from Treasure Island was a 37-year-old woman. When I was reading through that, me and the boyfriend were looking at it. I was like, 81, 79, 85, 95. Then I was like 37. I'm like, man, that's so young. My boyfriend's like, no, it's not. And then because I'm 37, I'm like, hey, what the hell? But and they all drowned, right? Like,
I would assume so. It's probably with the surge. Yeah.
I had an interesting conversation. I tried out a new jiu-jitsu gym last week, and it's owned by a bunch of Marines. And we were talking about, it was weird because we obviously were talking about jiu-jitsu and talking about the storm. They're also from San Diego, so we were kind of talking about that. And we were just at the end of the class we got on a conversation, which is totally typical for me, but probably not for other people, about ways to die, like the worst ways to die.
Right.
And the classic comparison is, would you rather? This is like the worst. Would you rather? Would you rather drown or be set on fire?
Yeah,
and I was like, I think fire. And she's like, nah. This Marine woman, ex-Marine woman, was somebody's like, no, I don't think that's the move. And I'm like, really? I'm like, not being able to breathe. And she said that when she was in the Marines, and they said, if you're in a situation and it's bad and you're not getting out and you're in the water, they said, just dunk your head underwater and take a deep breath, and you won't remember anything else after that.
Huh. I always heard drowning was incredibly painful for a short period of time.
Yeah.
Fire seems like it'd be incredibly painful for a longer period of time.
I don't know. That guy who lit himself on fire in front of the Capitol or wherever, the Palestine thing, that seemed to be pretty quick.
Yeah.
But also not. So I don't know.
Horrific.
Do you have a preference?
I guess drowning if I had to pick.
Yeah. That now.
I had a friend who luckily her house was kind of higher too, I think. So she got like a few inches of water in her house.
Mm-hmm.
Guess where she also had a vacation home cabin
in Asheville.
North Carolina. And guess what happened to it?
I could venture a guess.
A mudslide hit it and it's gone now.
So she got two homes
whacked. Gone.
That is that's unreal. Unbelievably bad luck.
Truly.
Really, really, really bad luck.
Truly. And I believe she's going through a divorce too.
Oof.
If I'm not mistaken.
Ew. In lighter news, I found out that it was a Jewish holiday because of Holyoke Joe.
I did know that. Happy Rosh Hashanah.
Thank you.
It's
Joe,
New Year, right?
Yeah, Lashana Tova. Joe reached out to me. He goes, Happy New Year. And I was like, what? Idiot. It's September or October. I don't even know what month it is. And then I was like, oh, for the Jews, for my people. I forgot. Yeah. So thank you, Joe. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my people in the Middle East are going to war. So that's how they'll be spending their apples and honey, unfortunately.
I think we all kind of live with an optimism bias, maybe, where we think like, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Because it has been okay most of the time.
For us.
It seems like there's just a lot of things
compounding
and exponentially it's going to reach a breaking point. I saw there was online, of course, there was some sort of FBI whistleblower who was saying that It's very important to vote. And I don't know who the guy is, so it's hard to say. Like I'm almost afraid to repeat it. But essentially, his message was: make sure you vote. Get 3 months of food in a pantry, or one of those food kits or whatever, and make sure you're armed and that you can defend yourself over it because it's going to get crazy
When
in the next few
people, let
months.
me ask you this: when people say it's so important to vote, they want you to vote for their guy or gal, right? Like that's what the message is. Because
Yeah, I
when you
mean,
say it's really important to vote, it's like obviously you think it's important to vote, so you obviously have opinions about who should be in power. So why
Yeah.
would you encourage people to vote who aren't going to side with you or put the person in power that you think
right.
would be most
Yeah,
fit?
if you're going to vote for the other person, you'd probably
It
say don't
seems,
vote.
or just say, I want you to vote for Trump, or I want you to vote for Kamala or something.
I
But to
think
say it's so important to vote, it's like, well, what is that? What do you mean?
I think it's
What's your angle?
it's like saying Merry Christmas
Is
or
it?
Happy Holidays or something.
But
Like
then
it
it was
doesn't.
followed with make sure that you have 3 months of dehydrated vegetables
Yeah.
and a gun,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, he didn't specify
which is weird.
who to vote for in that occasion. He
Yeah.
just said make sure that you vote. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like I don't know. Just Middle East is popping up. I saw another solar storm is going on. That's like record-setting solar storm.
Can I just say something? A silver lining
Yeah,
about the 3 months of food.
of course.
Most Americans don't eat it. You would be totally fine without 3 months of food. So this is
It would
why
be
you're
good.
so fat, because you're preparing for the apocalypse.
Yeah.
So don't even worry about stocking up on food because you're about to do a serious cut.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You've been bulking your whole life because you're disgusting, and now it's the time for those reserves to be put in place for what they're supposed to be put in place for, which is when you don't have food, your body can feed itself. So congratulations to America.
Congratulations, America. Sorry your party's lame.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Iran shot a bunch of missiles into Israel. Solar storms, massive hurricanes. We might have another hurricane coming right after this one. I don't know. I don't know. Tacitly kind of keeping an eye on it.
So I think maybe this sounds terrible. Can we make jokes, or are jokes illegal?
I mean, as long as you don't curse.
Okay. Maybe the boyfriend is rooting for another storm because my cousin is supposed to come that weekend. And if there's a storm, she won't. So it may keep her away.
Okay.
And so he's just like low key keeping an eye on it, just so.
So what's the joke exactly?
Just that he's hoping for another storm so that my cousin doesn't come to visit
Sounds like
for a couple days.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say it's like typical guy stuff, but kind of. It's not like a joke, like a punchline joke. It's more of just like a gallows humor.
Yeah. I know. I
kinda
get that.
thing,
I
you
get
know what
that.
I mean?
Yeah.
He
Your
doesn't want to
cousin,
clean the house.
in his defense, your cousin sucks. So
I mean, I haven't seen her in 7 years, so this isn't like a close relative. This is someone that I've recently kind of reunited with, and we're like, hey, let's get together. And she's doing a whole Eastern Seaboard trip, and I'm the last leg of the trip. And she let me know that, hey, the Florida leg of the trip is the only part of the trip I paid insurance for. Meaning, she can get that money back.
Okay.
So, everyone is maybe even including her. Maybe she doesn't even really want to go. I know the boyfriend isn't too excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wish everybody the best. I hope everybody gets what they want in this scenario.
Yeah.
And that everybody lives a happy life for the remaining, few months that are left. So, we're obviously live on YouTube here on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. My name is Will Kuncz. This is on a Hummel, in case you're just tuning in on Radio St. Pete. Perhaps we do this show live on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Sometimes we'll pop on sporadically. We don't really have a game plan with that, but make sure you subscribe, hit the bell to get notified when we're live over there. And if you're listening on Radio St. Pete or on podcast, there's an extra half an hour that's uncut, uncensored that you can view on. You can get it Sundays at midnight. If you missed it live here, of course, you can watch it live, 6 p.m. If you miss it, you get it at midnight on Sunday. Or we also have this thing called a Substack, hmbradio.substack.com. You can sign up for free. I made it as cheap as I possibly could to be a member there. And right now, the benefit is that you'll get the full podcast audio only. I know that I indulge in my podcast audio only, the vast majority of them, so I enjoy that. And having it directly to your podcast feed there is pretty helpful. So hmbradio.substack.com, and obviously on YouTube if we're on video. And by the way, I saw that Substack does video too.
Oh, wonderful.
You can stream video there, so I'll have to do some research into that. But here's some photos here from the destruction. That's Fort Myers Beach there.
They just got hit a couple of years ago too.
Sure did. Oh, there's the pier, the St. Pete Pier. Some big waves there. Yeah, just cut through. I saw you posted an article. It's from the Wall Street Journal, though, and I don't have a membership, so I wasn't able to read it. But people have been aching to sell their homes in St. Petersburg for a little while now, and I think this probably pushed them over the edge. Where who's going to buy it now? Now because you were waiting for that storm. Obviously, you knew it was coming, and it happened. And now I feel like those places are just nobody's going to want to. Who wants to buy that?
Unless you built it on like 20-foot stilts. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'll tell you my biggest concern here about this storm, and I've seen it already, where I don't think insurance, obviously we have an insurance crisis here already as it is. I don't think the insurance companies have the amount of revenue and a savings or whatever you call it to pay out what they're going to need to pay out to people.
So guess what's going to happen?
What's going to happen?
Everybody's rates are going to go up.
Everybody's rates are going to go up.
Including yours and mine, if you have renter's insurance or housing insurance or anything like that.
But I think even more, the bigger issue too is that people are probably going to get, like I saw all my favorite places on St. Pete Beach, Woody's is pretty torn up. That was the one that really choked me up.
Brass Monkey.
Yep.
Gone?
I don't know if it's gone, but it definitely got some work
Coconut?
to do. Yeah, all those places are messed up. Yeah. But my fear is that they're not going to reopen. They're just going to be, this isn't worth it. I'm not getting, my money back. I can't sell the business really. They might own the property. They might not. I don't know. But my fear is with these storms is that these investment companies with bankroll, like, I don't know, BlackRock, for example, are going to come in.
Larry Fink's come to town, baby.
Yeah, and they're the only ones that have the money.
Yeah.
And the war chest and they're
Chinese.
And it's going to be under the guise of, look, we're going to build this back up.
It's going to be Russian bureaucrats.
Oh my God. There's going to be Applebee's on every block of Gulf Boulevard. I mean, I love Applebee's. I do too, but listen, one's enough. We don't need all. Yeah. It's just going to be, my fear is it's going to be very corporate after, and a lot of the
funkiness.
Yeah. The mom and pop bars and it was already getting like that anyways. I mean, a lot of the little hotels are bought up, and condos and massive hotels have been put up in their stead, and everywhere you can't stop progress. I mean, it's just
watch me.
It's an economic zone, right? So I don't know. I'm just afraid that the area is not going to look the same after this one.
Don't you barely leave your house?
Me? Yes, that's true.
You care.
But I go to Woody's from time to time.
Okay, I understand.
I like to sit at Woody's.
You'd like to know that it's there if you want to go.
I like to know that it's there if I want to go, which is sometimes, not often, but sometimes.
If you were to leave this area, Will.
Yeah.
And by this area, let's just say Tampa Bay or the state even. Is there a preference of place where you'd be like, I'd be comfortable living here? You're shaking your head no.
I mean, I'm open to anywhere, but there's not a place that is off the top of my head where I'm like, yeah.
You visited and you're like, I could vibe. I vibe.
Well, I liked Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay.
I did, but that's got some issues. They're gonna have some problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really think. My mind goes to like Wyoming or something like that, but it's so cold.
Oof, no.
Very cold.
Yeah, no. The land of Dick Cheney. That's all I think about.
That's right. That's right.
Great state of Wyoming.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you? I mean, I know you've lived in a few different places.
When I went back to California a couple months ago, you get off the plane and you go, I get it. This place is real nice. I mean, the taxes are insane. I don't necessarily love the politics, but it is such a pleasant place to live. And if you could just avoid fires, you're golden.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so temperate and
Mhm.
nice. And it's like Florida, subtract the humidity. Like it's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
And you get a little bit more elevation. Where I lived growing up, I was 10 minutes from the water, like an hour and a half from the desert, and 2 hours from the mountains.
Yeah. That's a great thing about
and an hour and a half from Disneyland, if that
Yeah.
tickles your fancy.
That's the
So
cool thing about America in general is that
Mhm.
there's such a wide like topography. Like it's got
absolutely.
like when you're talking about traveling, like Europeans have to travel all across Europe to see different topography, but here we got a little bit of everything.
all in one country.
All in one beautiful country. We do have to go for the Radio St. Pete podcast audience. For those watching live at 6 p.m. on YouTube, willsyoutube.com, please stay tuned. We're going to go behind the whatever we call it. Not paywall, but extra bonus
Dirty
special
curtain.
time. And Substack is still an option, hmbradio.substack.com. If you're on YouTube, we have super chats now. That way I see the chat, guys, but to be honest with you, I'm not paying super close attention to it. So I'm sorry if I'm missing your comments, but a good way to avoid that is chip in 99 cents and it'll make sure we get it read. Because I get a notification when that happens. And Radio St. Pete, we wish you the best. I hope all is well. J. Cole, shout out to you. I'm sorry about your house. And everybody else has been affected. Donate if you can. I don't really know what to.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah,
it super sucks,
it
but we
sucks.
will
It's
rebuild.
whack.
Hopefully no lives were lost among anyone that you know, but thankfully, I mean, listen, I get it would be awful to throw out all your belongings, but thankfully all that stuff is replaceable. So
It is. Yeah. And it's a good, it's kind of a good way to like start fresh.
In your house that's going to be wrecked next year?
Yeah, hopefully not. I mean, the idea is hopefully not. And hopefully everybody gets paid out and can. I just fear that it won't. Anyway, goodbye, Radio St. Pete. Goodbye, podcast feed listeners. willsyoutube.com. And we'll see you next week. And we're back. Just like that. Fart, yeah. It's the extra special bonus time. Anna Hummel is here.
I am. And there's some stuff I want to talk about.
Oh, good.
I want to talk about, is it Doug Emhoff?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The debate was last night. Did you watch the vice presidential debate?
Yes, but not super closely. I was a little bit distracted by other things. But it was such a, is this what Midwestern people are like? They're just so nice. They can't be rude to each other. It was actually really nice to see something that cordial where people were actually talking about policy, not just chucking insults at each other. Although that can be very entertaining, it was a very like cordial and civil debate.
I think that's what it was like, before Trump.
Yeah, I was just about to say like before Trump. No, I don't think so.
It's funny. I was watching the debate with my girl last night, and she actually brought up, "Do you want to watch it?" Because I wasn't going to watch it, and I was like, "Okay, sure, let's put it on." And she's not uber political. She has things that she's passionate about, but she's not an overtly political, person. She's got, I'm sure she's voted Democrat her entire life, and that's fine. I'm trying. I'm working on her. But
the work, she's a good person. Like
she is, she's gonna vote for Kamala.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, it's a divided house.
Yeah. So we made a pact not to vote, and then she said we should vote. So I don't know.
Hold on. After the VP debate?
No, this was actually before that. But my takeaways from watching the debate with a not very political person was, she goes, they're agreeing a lot. They agree. And she was very surprised that JD Vance wasn't saying like crazy shit. She thought he was just going to be, we can swear now.
Yeah.
She thought he was just going to be like a demon. She's like, he's nice.
Mm-hmm.
And so is, look how cute Tim Waltz is. Yeah. I was like, Julia, they're literal demons, both of them. They want to be in your home and watch everything that you do. These people want a job that nobody should have. But she was just saying how cute they are and how they agreed. And she thought JD Vance would be a lot crazier. And she thought that he was much better talker than the big man, which is obviously true.
You know what? Actually, and I know no one would probably disagree with me. And again, I probably should have watched it more closely than I did, but I was actually kind of impressed by Tim Walz.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I thought he bombed.
because I expected JD Vance to be good, and he was. I didn't. I thought that there was going to be a lot more buffoonery on the part of Walz
Did you
than
hear
there
him say
was.
that he was friends
Hong
with
Kong.
school shooters?
Did he misspeak? I missed that because I was kind of like on my
clearly.
phone, but everyone was like, "Oh, he's friends with school shooters." I heard JD Vance respond to that, and he was like, "I'm so sorry that your son was
Saw
involved."
shooting.
Right. So I mean, everybody knew what he meant. He misspoke. Everyone's like, "What a moron!" I'm like, dude, I misspeak every day of my life, so I try to give people a little bit of leniency. But I thought there was going to be a lot more buffoonery on the part of Tim Walz than I saw. Again, I wasn't like super plugged in on it.
I mean, there was a lot of buffoonery. That I mean, yes, it's a clearly misspoke. I don't think he's hanging out with school shooters and is friends with school shooters. I obviously misspoke, but that is a monumental gaffe. I mean,
so.
You don't think it's that big of a deal?
No, because we knew what he meant. We knew what he meant. He didn't mean that he was hanging out with school shooters. He was hanging out. He meant to say the families of people who were affected by the school shooters.
Well, you see, you're fair. You're
that's
being
what he
fair.
meant, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I mean, like, listen, I say, listen, as someone who was on the radio, well, not now, but was, many times if I said, well, you know what I mean, I meant this, or you misspeak, or you speak in the negative, or something like that. So, and you're on a stage where I can't even imagine what the nerves would be like. You know, the entire world
he was
is watching.
He was panicked.
So the fact that like he didn't complete, and there were some flub ups, you know, on both sides. Tim Walz a few times.
I heard zero. I heard him stutter once. He was flawless execution.
He was, yes, but in terms of like a gotcha moment, he handled the stuff with the moderators pretty well. JD Vance.
Oh my God! Did you notice that every like follow up, they would let Tim Walz follow up, and your follow ups are, then they would present him with a question and be like, "Do you believe climate change is fake?" They would like hit him, and he'd be like, JD Vance doesn't much. He doesn't take the bait like Trump does. So he would just be like, well, listen. And then he would just start talking about whatever he would talk about. He's a more seasoned politician than, let's say, our good buddy DT. But no, I thought he handled it. He handled them great. But I don't understand why these guys and, you know, ladies, I guess, too, I would stop going on any sort of corporate press outlet. You know what the deal is. I think their strategy is, well, I still want to talk to him. And JD Vance is really pretty good at what he does and dealing with those people. But they are so in the can. And I saw Mark, what's his name? Like the liberal Trump, Democrat Trump, the rich guy, owns the Mavericks.
Oh, Mark Cuban?
Mark Cuban. He was saying how we have a conservative media.
I'm kind of surprised by him.
I mean,
he like should be a conservative by all accounts, and he's not.
No, he's the leftist Trump.
Yeah,
there's talk of him running for president. In fact, but I mean, I don't understand. I really don't get I get if you're where you stand politically, but you got to know the media outside. Yeah, I guess Fox would be the only one that is, you know, mainstream or corporate or whatever that's leans more right, but they've caught a lot of shit too for I don't know, so there's somebody on the board there that's like some like Soros person. I don't know. That stuff I can't keep up with it all. Okay. But I'm shocked when I hear stuff like that because it's so clearly not true. And you could just watch the debate and see how it's not true. But I saw people posting like, if your candidate's online, like my friends, if your candidate's getting fact checked, that means he lied. Yeah. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, no.
So it's just like, well, has it occurred to you that they might be maybe have an agenda and a bias?
Right.
And then they're just going, nah, they're the news. Why would they lie?
Yeah.
They're just kind of like sheep.
Yeah, I was really impressed. I mean, Vance was good, but here's the thing. I expected him to be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So going into it, I'm like, this guy is going to be polished. He's going to not take the bait. He's a very low affect person, which is the opposite of Trump, who is triggered by, you know, could be triggered by anything. I think Tim Walz, although, and again, I don't just look at them in terms of policy. I try to I judge them also on like their ability to debate,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. And like I said, Tim Walz definitely had some flub ups, no doubt, but he did come across. And again, this I'm not saying that he is, but I think he came across as sincere and concerned. I don't know. I for some reason I thought he was going to be a bit more. I'm not saying he wasn't a buffoon, but I thought he was going to be way worse than he was. If that makes sense, because my expectations for him were so low.
Well, he hasn't had any, like, they haven't talked to the press. Kamala's done like 2 sit-down interviews.
And he was there for one of them.
And he was there for one of them. And then she's done like a thing with Oprah.
Yeah,
but that was a campaign. That wasn't.
Yeah.
That was a campaign stop where it was just her presenting it like an interview that she's talking to the press. But that was just a campaign event for her. She did one with, oh gosh, I don't know. There was a few others, but very friendly. Like, she's not going on Fox.
No.
Or anything. Like, JD Vance will go to CBS.
Yeah, he's
MSNBC,
been on a lot of podcasts. And
he's got.
so is Trump.
He's got it. Yeah, and he's got
getting in front of it.
He's got a lot of practice.
He does, and he's good at what he does, and he is a lawyer, obviously, so that helps.
Yeah.
I was very impressed by JD Vance.
Is he a lawyer?
Went to Yale Law.
I thought he was a venture capitalist.
I mean, you can be both.
That's true.
In fact,
You're right.
was both.
Yeah.
His response when they asked him about abortion, which is so sticky.
Yeah.
Because he's like, all right, I gotta placate the evangelical base and this and that. But just the way he danced around it was pretty much a perfect answer. Be like, listen, there's a diverse amount of people in the states, and they have different views, and that's why we need to kind of leave it up to the states so that it reflects the views of the people who live there, blah blah blah. Because people were trying to pin him as saying like, oh, you want a federal ban on abortion. He didn't take the bait. And even though he is like it seems like a Christ loving man and even referenced Jesus a few times in the debate, he stayed the course.
Yeah, that is the pinnacle issue, seems to be the abortion thing.
Just so weird.
Right.
Really?
She's really into that too. And I'm just like, but she at the same time, she's like, I don't understand why it's a big topic, but she's also very passionate about it too. Like, that's what gets her riled up. When we were talking about the debate, like, I would hear her go, thank you, like when Tim Walz would say thank you, like, and I'm just like,
it's weird because like, so I guess technically on the books I'm pro-life. That sounds gross to say, but I guess I am.
I guess I am too.
Someone told me that they took their baby that was just born and they like drop kicked it.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't care.
Oh God.
You know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, oh, that's rude. But I wouldn't go to the streets. I wouldn't protest. So I feel, because to me, it's more of just like a philosophical debate. Like, are you pro-life or pro-choice? I'm like, well, technically, if there was a gun to my head, I guess I'm pro-life. But also, I don't care. Does that make sense?
Well, it's hard to, it does. But once you like have something, it's hard to go back. And I think that's we're not going back. I think that's a slogan that they use. But, the whole, that it's a right thing, it's, reproductive right. There's nothing in the Constitution about that procedure. Sorry, it's not a right. It's not. Now, of course, you can add to the amendments. You can add amendments, and which is what
it never was. It was never codified into amendment. It was
but
just
that's what they're going to. That's what they
case.
Want to do. They want to.
Yeah, they'll never get that because they need to. I forget what the majority that you would need to codify something as an amendment, but it's a lot.
Well, I think there's plans out there to pack the Supreme Court, who, if they win,
with migrants.
with Haitians,
with transgender Haitian pet eating migrants.
That's right.
So we'll see.
Get them to make them. It's so crazy. I mean, this is just a wild time. Going back to like, it feels like things are exponentially. There's a dock strike too, which nobody knew about. Did you know about that?
What?
The dock strike?
Oh, that you can't like dox people or what?
No, the docks. They shut down all the ports. The dock workers are on strike from Maine all the way to Texas. So if you don't have toilet paper, you might want to go get some. I went and got mine yesterday. I'm loaded up with paper towels and for good. I should be good for at least 3 weeks. I'm assuming. I went to Costco, so I got multiple packages. No, I'm just kidding. I did do that though. Like, it just feels, and I don't want to be like a negative Nancy either. But I feel like we all have this optimism bias where we're just like, it'll be all right. It's gonna
Well,
work
how else are you
itself.
supposed to live? I mean, I
It's
guess you
true.
could be
It
negative.
literally is a way to keep like living.
Absolutely.
That's
Hope
what it is.
key. And not to try to like take a Obama slogan or anything, but hope is what gets me through my day. Like
Yeah.
I don't even need to have any actual concrete success or progress, but if I have hope, that will let me slide another day.
Mm.
If that makes sense.
No, it does, and I get it, and I do.
You
I
get
do understand
excited
it.
because you know what I learned, and not that I learned, I already knew this, but it's something that you need a reminder of. And I heard Andrew Huberman talking about it, which is whatever. That's kind of like my shtick. But he goes like everything is internal. Like when you get super excited about something, like you did, it was all internal. Like all those feelings, the emotions, all of those hormones and chemicals were already inside of you and got released because your brain was like, endorphin, serotonin, oxytocin, whatever. And then 24 hours later, when it was the inverse, it was like cortisol dump, F my life, cortisol, depression, sadness, you know what I mean? And it's all internal, meaning like no one gave you a shot of adrenaline or depression or whatever. So I try to keep that in mind where it's like it's all about framing, right? So for example, I've kind of come to the conclusion that I'm at some point probably going to have to leave this area in some capacity. And I really didn't want to do that a few months ago. I was like, I want to stay. Why can't I stay? Everything is digital. Why can't I stay? Now I'm like, it's an adventure. Like I've changed the framing in my mind so that if and when it happens, I can embrace it instead of resist it. And that will make the experience so much more like tolerable and enjoyable.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It does.
So everything is internal. Sadness, internal. Happiness, internal. So that way you can change it if you want to, which is why I'm a Buddhist.
Yes.
So
have you been going to your classes? How are those people?
I haven't actually, because I've been going to Radio St. Pete on during that time. So hopefully next Tuesday I can resume back to being a Buddhist because I missed it. I did have a guy that I met at the Buddhist meditation center reach out to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did he say, did we scare you off or?
No, but it was one of those things. So when a person of the opposite sex, if you're heterosexual, whatever, reaches out to, like, I can just tell that it's like, are you trying to chat me up? Because he's like, I didn't know when I was going to see you again.
Are these guys all 80 years old?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we got a mixed bag of people. Some are old. Some wear headphones that help them hear, which they look like earmuffs because there's no wires. And I asked this old woman, I'm like, why do you wear those headphones? She's like, oh, it helps with me to hear the teacher. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay. I didn't understand like how the
this must be like one of those, they probably advertise them on Fox News. It's like, it's all old people stuff. And Fox News.
Oh, okay.
It's like showers that you can like open and
like a stool or a handle that it helps you slip and fall. The necklace that you press the 911 button.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's all. If you watch Fox, I don't watch Fox, but I have in the past, and I know that like it's just littered. That's their market share is just like people who are dead, and that's who they're going after. And it's probably like you don't have to get hearing aids. You can buy these earmuff, which look ridiculous.
To be fair, it's supplied by the meditation center. So like there's a bunch of them in a basket and you can like pick it up.
Well, somebody bought them from an infomercial
from Fox News. Okay, maybe that is the case. So it's a mixed bag. We got old people, we got young people. This guy's probably in his like 40s, but he hit me up on like LinkedIn Messenger and was just like, hey, like you haven't been in class. Like I didn't know when I was going to see you again. And I'm like, is this when I just go, I'm a boyfriend? Is that because you don't want to be a cunt,
right?
You don't, because it's a delicate balance between, I don't want to be a bitch, but I also, and I don't want to like be presumptive. Like maybe he's just like, we talked about music, radio, and I'm just trying to be a friend. And why are you assuming I'm hitting on you? So I'm just kind of like letting him go. And, if it got to the point where he's like, hey, let me know if you want to make it out to coffee, I'd be like, I have a boyfriend, but I'm very flattered.
That's when that's right.
So,
well, even that, like, are you not allowed? Which you shouldn't do it, by the way. And I know you shouldn't do it, but why can't you do that? You just can't
bitch?
have no, you can't
Oh.
have friends.
No. This is
Yeah.
there's no.
Yeah.
It's not trying to be my
At a certain
friend.
age, it's hard to
He
make
wants
new
to hit
friends
it.
anyways.
Can't blame him.
Oh, you feel the vibe.
I mean, I don't to him.
Right. No, I know you feel the vibe that he's
Yes, I
trying to.
felt like he was is this rude to like I feel like I'm being braggadocious, but I feel like I haven't bragged about anything because my life is lame.
Mhm.
But I can feel when I'm like I can tell you're impressed by me.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I was saying stuff and it was just really resonating.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
because you have to understand, like, we're all ex something. Like, he's an ex Catholic. I'm an ex Jew. We got a few other former Jews. We got some Protestants in the house. And what I love about this meditation class is everybody listens to the instructor like this, like with, just glaring,
They
squinty
can't
eyes.
see.
Yeah, that because they're old, but also just like everyone is a skeptic. So we ask a lot of questions, not so much about like, what does God say about it? It's more just like, what does Buddhism say about X? What does Buddhism say about Y?
Mhm.
Those are my questions that I've asked. Like, how
You
do they
should-
deal with this? And then I pose the question.
You should go in and ask how Buddhism feels about abortion and offshore drilling
And fracking.
and fracking and energy production in the United States. Like to really just spice it up.
I don't know if Kadam Ron is well equipped to answer those questions. He just knows about the Eightfold Path and other aspects of Buddhism. But yeah, so I'm getting the vibe that this guy maybe he thinks I quit. Maybe he's worried like he'll never see me again.
He's got to
Because
shoot a shot.
he's sad too, obviously.
Kobe.
Yeah. So I'm like kind of flattered, but I also don't want to be presumptive.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm just kind of like letting it take its course.
Right.
And if it gets to the point where I think it's inappropriate or a number is dropped, then I will be like, hey, breaks. Here we go. But yeah, I think it would be inappropriate to go to You don't think so? If you say you went to like a whiskey barrel making class.
And I go to those all the time.
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to think of your interest and it's just
Oh,
alcohol.
it sounds great.
Yeah. And you're like brew. You don't brew. You
distill.
Distill. Thank you. That was the verb. You're distilling, which is there's a lot of mixing and shaking. And there's a woman, and she's like clearly showing interest in you, and she tries to take the class offshore.
Yep.
Do you think that would be appropriate? If she's like, hey, do you want to like meet me for a coffee? And you're like, well, it's just fucking.
You can't do it.
Coffee.
I couldn't do it.
No,
I'm
you can't do
partnered
it.
up.
Inappropriate is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, it depends how big her tits are.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. It wouldn't. No, you can't do it.
If she was flat chested, you'd be like, clearly she's a friend.
Yes.
So
obviously. No, well, I mean, yeah, it's just a shame that you can't do that, but obviously you can't do that. You can't take the risk.
Yeah, because there are cool people of the opposite sex.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely more men than women.
If they're ugly enough, I think you could pull it off. I think you could pull it off. I honestly would be completely okay if my boyfriend had a chick friend at a firework convention and she was built like a gumdrop and just,
well, sometimes
a round bowling
with those,
ball.
you just close your eyes and you just look up at the sky.
Yeah.
Every guy has their stories with those.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
No.
You don't know what I mean.
I mean, I know what you mean, but like, I can't relate to that. I can't just like close my eyes.
That's what I'm saying. It's different.
I understand it's different because it's just a hole.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But I would feel much better if I'm like, oh, that's her? Go have fun. Go have a sleepover. I don't care.
I dare you, motherfucker.
Go ahead. But if she was like at all, even just like a hint of cuteness, you're cheating on me.
Like a 4.5 out of 10.
Yeah, you're and especially I'm at the age now. Yes, I'm at the age now where like anybody younger than me is a threat, unless they're 1,000 pounds, and then I feel a little bit more comfortable. So that the weight offsets the age factor. So if she's 25, no problem, but then you better add a 0 onto her age, and that better be her weight. That's the rule. Oh, okay. She's 30, better be 300 pounds or you can't be friends with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
that
those
makes
are the
sense.
rules.
I like that.
Sorry, those are I didn't make them up. Those are the rules.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Learned a lot today.
Are you a jealous person?
Yes. Yes.
of like your partner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a jealous person.
Like a healthy jealous. Do you think you're hyper jealous?
No, I don't think I'm hyper. I try to keep in a constant state of, agitation,
Mm.
but not, just take it over the edge or get too crazy.
Yeah, it's good to be a little jealous.
I think so.
A healthy amount of jealousy is necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you're not jealous at all, that means you don't care.
Right.
You were like, oh, you're going with so and so. Whatever.
I don't give a fart.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would, and then
Good. Add the house to myself.
That would upset me if my partner was like not at all jealous or threatened by anything.
Mhm.
That would make me a little sad.
Because there's confidence, and then there's the aura of not caring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just be like, I'm just confident that you won't do
Yeah.
anything. You got all this at home.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
I
not
mean-
really jealous, but I'm just insecure. Is that okay? Usually
Well,
they
that-
hang together.
Yeah.
And I recently learned that there is a difference between envy and jealousy. They're technically different emotions.
Oh, okay. I mean, they're two different words.
Yes. So being envious of someone means that you want something that they have.
Okay.
When you're jealous of someone, you're worried that they could potentially take what you have.
Oh, I didn't know
So
that.
they're kind of same, but different. So
Yeah.
like if you got a job, say like in North Carolina, I don't know, just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I might be envious of that. But if I had a job and I was threatened by you taking it, I might be jealous of maybe the boss being favorable towards you because I felt threatened that you were going to take
You
my
might
job.
lose something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lose
okay.
something that I have versus you have something that I want.
I see. I see.
So,
That's interesting. I feel like I've learned something new.
oh my God, I'm a fucking teacher. Just
You are.
helping. I'm an educator, healthcare hero.
You're a regular Tim Waltz.
unemployed.
Just a simple teacher.
Is that what he was?
Yeah.
Before he went to Hong Kong and then didn't go to Tiananmen Square.
I was shocked, by the way. We got a few minutes left here. I do see we got one super chat, and I will do that before we go. Please remind me. We got he lied. So he lied about his service that he was like serving in Iraq. Got caught about that one.
In the first Desert Storm.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. And no, it might have been
The recent one.
this
More
Iraq
recent?
too.
Okay, Iraq
actually.
too.
Yeah. And so he left just before his unit deployed. So he got caught kind of fibbing about that one.
Stolen.
Then he
valor.
said, this guy's Forrest Gump. Like they just make stuff up. Like they're in the biggest events in history. And they just
Yeah.
happen to be there's a small town kid from Nebraska. He said he was in Tiananmen Square when the whole thing went down. People can look at, like, we're in the internet age. And of course, and probably I don't even know if it was a reporter, but somebody on Twitter here's a newspaper clipping from that day, and you're in the newspaper here in your National Guard uniform, and you're in Nebraska.
Or he said he wasn't there. It happened in the spring and he was there in the summer.
Well,
So you totally missed the event.
Well, the buffoonery came did you see his face when I was shocked that they asked him that question? I did not think he was going to get that question,
Yeah,
but
he
they
got
asked him
blasted
about
with
it, and
the
he was just
question.
like, his
He's like, yeah, I was learning in China.
he
got
called, I believe he
flustered.
said, I sometimes I misspeak. I'm a knucklehead. Sometimes I misspeak,
Mhm.
and I got the dates wrong. And I was just shocked that he had to address that. I didn't think they were going to do that, but his face was priceless.
And they pushed back on it because he went on for like 2 minutes and they're like,
They did,
hey,
yeah.
could you answer the question that we asked you, you dumbass?
Absolutely shocked
So-
that he got that question.
Yeah. And he definitely, that was the lowest point in the debate, the entire debate, and especially for him.
Yeah.
So,
We did get one super chat,
ooh.
and it's from Pillow Pants.
They reached
Anna
out to
showing the
me.
guns today.
Oh, yes.
Love
That's what
y'all.
I'm known for, my body showing it off online.
Yeah,
You're
pretty
welcome.
good.
Thank you
you,
guys.
Pillow.
Thank you, Pillow Pants. Thank you for reaching out to me. Sorry it takes me so long to get back to you on Instagram. I'm kind of low key back on.
Oh, really?
I mean, not like posting, but
Yeah.
like peeking around the corner, seeing what I'm doing. You know who I miss the most? Those big fatties. Like, I wonder
Mhm.
what they're up to. Have they lost weight? Guess
No,
what?
gained it.
Haven't. Yeah.
Gained more.
Gained more weight, and God bless them. You know why? Because the body positivity movement has given me so much fucking joy in my life that I don't have. It is just so funny because at the end of the day, I go, at least I'm not that. I'm not
Well,
that.
they're like marvelous. They
I
think that
know.
they're just the best.
There is that
amazing.
element to it where I realized I was envious of their perceived confidence.
Yeah.
Because I struggle every day with crippling self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm fat, I suck, I'm dumb, I'm a moron. And they are just like, I'm amazing, I'm beautiful, I'm healthy. And I go, no. Like, I feel like kind of the Tim Walz thing. I'm like, that's stolen valor. You don't deserve that happiness. You're a piece of shit. And they go, whatever, it's all internal. They're like, it's all about how you feel. And I'm like, oh my God, they're right. And then I get really mad because now I'm jealous of some fucking fat ass because I can't get my brain right, but they clearly got theirs right. You know what I mean?
Well, they don't.
They don't, but that's the thing is it doesn't matter.
Well,
even people who live in absolute delusion, if you're happy at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
That's true. Well, that's all this stuff is. It's fantasy land that people have, and they're able to create it online. You can't really create it. That's a big side effect and a big negative that's come from, cyberspace, or I don't even know what to call it, but you can literally create your own kind of second life, how you want to be perceived online.
Absolutely.
Like, you could be a total fucking loser, as most people are, but you could get online and you can get, you can be a whore, you can be an influencer, be a fucking fat dickhead who's just like, I'm working out, look at me, and then they take their video and they leave. Obviously, that's what they do.
Yeah.
And they have their oxygen tank and they drag it around with them, and they're doing endorsement. Like, it's just crazy, the disconnect there from what the reality is of your day-to-day life. You can just totally leave that behind and live a second life online. It's good and bad, I guess.
You get in an echo chamber where, maybe if you're a fatty, you get in the fatty clan or whatever. And I read the comments, and granted, there's some like funny, mean ones, but most of them are overwhelmingly positive. And it could be that they're deleting the negative ones.
Sure.
But most of the time they're like, you go, girl, amazing. Where did you get your sweater? Like, all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's incredible, and I'm wildly jealous of that. And I'm like, I was talking to a friend about this. I'm also really jealous of people who get peace of mind and comfort from religion, because I feel like I can't get that. And it gives people so much joy where they're like, yeah, everything happens for a reason and God has a plan in my life. I've lost my second foot because of fucking sugar foot, but everything's okay. God has a plan. I'm like, I wish I could have that sort of rock in my life, and I don't.
Yeah.
So it's all envy on my end. So
envious, jealous, let's call the whole thing off, I guess. I don't know. Well, Anna, I'm glad you're safe through the storm. I hope everybody out there is. Thank you all for tuning in.
I feel less bloated too.
Good. Well, it's because you're talking, getting your diaphragm moving, getting it pushed down.
Yeah,
as soon as you stand up, you're going to
helps.
shit your pants, though. Unfortunately, that's going to happen. But please do it. If you crap your pants, that would be great. Did I tell you? Remember I said my stepdad was going to make like shorts for us? So did I tell you I saw him?
No.
I went and visited him last week.
You bring it up.
And I was like, hey, I thought you were going to make me YouTube shorts for the channel. And he just looked at me like this and was, what the hell? He goes, I don't know. Like, all right. I didn't have much hope, but I was like, if we put out content, he looked at me, smiled, shook his head, no. All right. It'd be very helpful, to have like shorts to put out every day. I was listening, man, I gotta say, I know that you know him. He's been on your former employers, and I knew about this guy. I'm not gonna say I found him because he was doing stuff, but Danny Jones, Concrete,
yeah.
Shout out to Danny. I'm sure I actually reached out to him recently. He said he would talk to me because I'm trying to figure out how the hell to use YouTube, and I want to pick his brain. I was watching. He has a phenomenal podcast. He talks to like, you know, off. What do you call that?
Like the intellectual dark web.
Yeah, but I hate that term. But
Well,
like
it is what
people
it is.
off the beaten path, but are doing things, and he's got a fascinating. I don't know how he even
John
knows him.
Kuriaku. I loved that one. It was a CIA whistleblower. He talked to Andrew Bustamante, also CIA. Talks to ex-mob guys. He talks to, was it Matt Cox, the scam artist?
Yep. He's got really,
interesting guest.
I watched today, actually. Spent pretty much my whole day. It was a 4-hour show with Dr. Jack Cruz. That's one you should watch, because he's what do you call it? There's a certain word for it. Oh my God. I'm doing the show or doing the podcast. I can't remember. It's like whenever the light's on the microphone, I can't remember names. You know, kind of just like off kilter. Not canceled, but he's a doctor.
Censored?
No,
he's a doctor.
God, I want to say esoteric, but that's not it. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
What kind of doctor is he?
He's a neurosurgeon. He's into light, water, and there's one other thing that he's really into. Says a lot of our problems are caused by blue light.
Okay.
Fascinating watch. It's 4 hours long. He's very knowledgeable. It could be a kook. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was trying to fact check in real time, and it's a lot of things to do. Everything that he said that I fact checked, I pulled up and was able to view.
Okay.
So shout out to Danny. He's right here. I think he's on the beach or in Tampa. Maybe he's in Tampa now. I don't know. But, man, he's absolutely crushing it. And I interviewed him. He was on this show. He did this cool documentary about Madeira Beach fishermen years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember telling him, I was like, dude, you should do a podcast.
Oh, so you want to take credit for all?
I'm not.
Sounds like it.
But he's got close to 1 million followers now.
It's an excellent show.
A great podcast.
Really good.
Really good podcast. So anyway, shout out to him. Thank you, everybody. hmbradio.substack.com. I'm going to put the audio only up right now, right after this. Anna's going to sit here uncomfortably while I do it and not speak to me because she needs to have all attention on her when she's speaking.
Correct.
So do that. willsyoutube.com. Please subscribe, hit the bell, tell a friend about it. What else, Anna? I guess that's it, right? That's the big stuff. 813-693-2124. Dino Cook calls all the time, and I do listen to every single one of your messages, Dino. So thank you. He said he sent me a bottle of booze, but I think he was lying. He kept asking me, texting, did you get the bottle? And I was like, no, I didn't get the bottle.
And then
he just said, okay.
Did you send it? And he's going to go.
He's going to look at me right in my face and go.
Amazing. Thanks, Will. See you guys.
Thank you, Anna. Goodbye, everybody.